Welcome to Dorset. Today we're at Swyre Head and we're shooting panoramas. Great to see you all again. Thank you so much for joining me. Today we're at Swyre Head in Dorset on the Jurassic Coast. It's a beautiful location, gives us a fantastic view right the way down the Jurassic Coast over Kimmeridge Bay and beyond. Today we're hoping to capture a beautiful panorama of this lovely scene. It shows all the cliffs and it's got a beautiful tower called Clavel's Tower right at the very front of the shot, so we've got some good interest right the way throughout our scene. Looking down the coast, you've got Kimmeridge Bay just on here. Following on from Kimmeridge Bay, you've got the mighty Gag Cliff, which is such a stunning shaped cliff. Then you go further down, you've got Warbarrow Bay, onto Arishmel, Moot Bay, and then Littleworth Cove, Durdle Door, etc. So a few names there I'm sure you're probably familiar with, but you might not be so familiar with Swyre Head. It's not particularly shot very well, to be honest. Obviously people shoot it, but it doesn't receive an awful lot of attention really, and I can't see why, because for me it's one of the best locations out here. It does require a bit of a long focal length though. Today we're on a 400mm, well, a 100 to 400mm lens, and we're going to be shooting for the vast majority of it at 400mm. So it's not a shot that you can just turn up and take with a wide angle up here. It does require a long focal length. There is in fact two locations in Dorset within 4 miles of each other, both named Swyre Head. This is probably the better known in terms of the name, but the Swyre Head over at Durdle Door, you'll probably know that one a lot better from pictures, and the two often get confused. It's a great location to shoot, and you've got a car park, Sheep Pen car park, just over here, and it involves about a mile and a half walk, a very, very small incline up a hill, and then you get up here, and this is actually the highest point in the Purbeck region, so it gives you a really, really good view. Just behind we've got Chapman's Pool and St Oldham's Head, which you might have seen if you've watched previous videos. Beautiful locations again. I mean, the whole stretch of this Jurassic Coast, it's just stunning, and I absolutely adore shooting here. As I say, you won't see an awful lot of photographers here, but it is very, very popular with walkers, and if you go to park in the Sheep Pen car park, there's very limited space. You've got maybe enough room for about 20 cars. If you come here in the morning or the evening, you generally don't get any problem, but sort of if you come in midday or something like that, there's going to be a lot of traffic here. Now the weather is a little bit strange today. We've got, as you can see, some beautiful light out just at the moment, and it's in our favour. So I've already taken a few shots because I wanted to try and nail those before that light went, because just the other side of us, we've got some very, very heavy cloud. According to the weather forecast, this cloud is going to roll in just before sunset comes. So I'm not anticipating getting a sunset shot. And to be honest, this is the wrong location to be in at this time of year for that. But what it will give us is beautiful side-lit subjects to shoot at, and some gorgeous colour and tone on the grass that's down there. So it should give us a really, really nice shot. And as I say, we're going to shoot a panorama today, somewhere between sort of 6 and 8 images, and merge them all into one. When you come to this area, you'll probably find quite a lot of monuments here, and it was an area that was extensively used in the Second World War by Marine Commandos and RAF for training, and unfortunately, sadly, a lot of people lost their lives here during training, so there's monuments all around the area for that, and shows you that. So it's got a good bit of history for it, albeit very, very sad, but as I say, it is one of the most spectacular views on the Jurassic Coast, in my opinion. It really is stunning, and you've got, like I say, good views all the way down the coastline there. right the way down to Portland. In fact, you can even see from here. And again, if you've watched my previous videos, you'll be familiar with Portland. It's a fantastic location there as well. But yeah, it's nice to be so high up, but it's very, very windy here. For our panorama today, we're going to be shooting at about an ISO of about 200, just to try and counter that wind. We're going to be, because we're on the long focal length, I'm going to shoot at f/16 because I want to try and get everything in focus. But in reality, we might have to drop that down to about f/11 or something like that, depending on the wind. I don't really want to push my ISO any higher than about ISO 400 for this particular shot. But, you know, we'll deal with the conditions and we'll adapt. And if we've got to go higher, we've got to go higher. But yeah, we'll just have to sort of play it by ear and see. We're using a panning base today on the tripod, and what that does, that enables you to completely level up your shot. So if your tripod is very, very slightly wonky and you're panning with the camera to do your panorama, you'll find obviously the horizon sort of changes and everything like that. This enables you to get it done very, very easily. Simple twist on the bottom, like so, and you can level up your tripod. And you've got a little spirit level just on here to keep everything absolutely spot on. Absolutely invaluable for panorama shooting, and I really, really love this. It's on a Gitzo tripod, and it's a Gitzo panning base as well, but they are superb. Quite a costly item, but it really, really does make all the difference if you're shooting panoramas. And I do this quite a lot, so it's a well worthwhile investment for me. Some of the more seasoned panorama photographers out there will be probably keen to point out I'm not using a nodal rail. What a nodal rail does is it enables your element to be at the exact pivot point of your ball head or whichever head you're using. So as the camera pans, it keeps every bit of distortion out. Now, that's particularly useful if you're shooting something with foreground in it, or if you're shooting, for example, an interior. But here we're shooting 400mm. We've got absolutely nothing in the foreground, so it's really not going to make any difference on there whatsoever. Plus, because we're using the Canon 400 lens, we've actually got the collar on there, and that collar brings the lens quite a way back. So we're probably not too far from a true nodal point anyway, although it will be slightly out. When shooting a panorama, everything needs to be in manual. You're using manual focus, you're exposing manually, and you need your white balance to be set to your own manual choice. For example, if you were panning and you had it set to cloudy and the camera decided it was going to switch it on auto white balance to sunny, for example, it's going to mean that your shots are not going to be able to blend. We're also not going to be using the polarizer whilst we're doing the panorama, because any changes in the particular images where they overlap will make it a lot harder to merge. So we're trying to keep everything as consistent as possible, and that will give us the best finish when we put our panorama together in Lightroom or Photoshop later on. Okay, so what we're trying to do now when we take this panorama is we've gone on to completely manual exposure. We've gone onto manual focus on here as well, and we've got our white balance set to cloudy, which is pretty much suiting our scene. As I say, the auto white balance you definitely don't want to use when you're doing a panorama. So now we're just going to simply take one shot, and then we're going to pan slightly, and we're just going to keep a third of the new image in. Another shot. Pan with a third. Another shot. Pan with a third. Let the camera settle. Another shot. And that's it. That's the simplicity of a panorama. It really is that simple. As long as you're completely level on your base and you've got a completely clean sweep all the way across, everything's set to manual, panoramas are dead easy. At the moment, the light is absolutely stunning down here, and we've got some beautiful golden flanks and sort of beautiful green tones here, and we're just waiting for the light to catch on Clavel Tower as well, and we're going to try and get that in shot. But I've been playing around, and it's quite nice to get some of the cliffs when they go very, very dark and they're in a, you know, a good bit of shadow and all the grass underneath is lit up. It's quite effective. So we're going to play around, might do a couple of different ones. We might even try and zoom in on some specific areas. As I say, Gag Cliff is a particularly interesting shaped cliff up here. It really does look nice, and I'd like to do something with that. Maybe get a single frame of that particular cliff. But it's not the easiest area to sort of frame here. The panorama looks particularly nice, but zooming into specific details is a little bit harder to get a good composition. And of course, because we're shooting so far away, no matter how far you move, you don't really tend to get it just as you want it, because there's no real change in the sort of the composition of it at all. I'm not sure if you can see behind me or not, but we've got some really, really thick, heavy, dark rain cloud coming in now, which is what was predicted. And, you know, it's what we've been trying to shoot. We've been getting the light with this heavy, dark cloud coming through, but it's looking like it's actually rain right the way over at Weymouth there, and it'll probably head this direction, and we've got some massive dark cloud just this side, so the shoot isn't going to last much longer, I'm afraid. We've got around about an hour to go till sunset, but we've probably got in reality maybe 30 minutes of shooting time left before that rain hits us, and unfortunately I can see that rain goes as far back as I can see, so it's going to be a very, very heavy shower. It's not going to be just like a passing weather system. It's going to be setting in for the day, I fear. So yeah, sadly I think that will probably mean the end of our shoot on this particular one, but I'm fairly confident we've got a reasonable image out of this one, and hopefully you'll like it. I hope you guys have enjoyed Swyre Head. I'll put a couple of pictures up. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'd love to hear your views on these pictures, and what you think of Swyre Head in fact as well. Thanks so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I hope you guys have enjoyed Swyre Head. It's been a good day here, and I'm really confident that we've got a really nice panorama out of it. And maybe, you know, I hope it gives you a bit of inspiration to go out and have a go at doing panoramas yourself. They're really, you know, a superb way to display an image. You get so many pixels in there, and it really does give a new dimension to images, and the size that you can blow these up to is just off the scale. That's pretty much it for the day, so I'd really appreciate it. If you've enjoyed what you've seen today, please do hit that like button. It really does help the channel. It's the best way to support it, really. And maybe leave a comment. It's always great to hear from you guys. I love to know what you think of the video, and indeed what you think of Swyre Head here. And maybe it's a place that you'll plan on having a visit to yourself one day. If you're not a subscriber, please do consider subscribing, and don't forget to hit that notification bell. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Take care.